I've been given not a second chance, I've been given 1,000 chances. A lot of the stuff that I was doing is unrelatable and no one would understand why. But I can tell sometimes that someone's more than the actions that they do. My name is Nasir, I'm also known as the Streets Barber. I crave purpose, and what's given me the most amount of purpose is to allow others to see their purpose. I was very lucky. I grew up in an awesome family. Not only my immediate family, but my extended family was very humanitarian driven, based around philanthropy. You know, we had diplomats, UN officials, World Bank workers, Harvard graduates. The thing is, growing up with people like that within my family, you know, it was two things. First, it was amazing and it was very inspiring, but also the pressure that came with it was very intimidating. So I think rather than looking at the fact that it was inspiring and it motivated me to want to do more, I just felt very intimidated and insecure that I was never going to be like them. It led me on a very different path, more of a negative path. I was introduced into drugs and alcohol, and you know, I mean, anyone can get drunk, anyone can get high, but I felt like when I was able to do it, I was able to do it well, which caused me to feel a lot of shame and regret, embarrassment within myself. And the more of the feelings of regret and embarrassment and shame I would feel, the more I would get high. The more I would get high, the more I would need to get high using harder substances. While I was going further and further down in a negative spiral, the rest of my family was just going up. I would always cut hair, and every time someone would tell me, you know, you should cut hair, we think you're good at it, it would upset me a lot because it made me feel like that's all I was worthy of doing. You know, I couldn't do anything more. I was just a barber. The more they would tell me to cut hair, the more anger I felt, and the more anger I felt towards what they were asking, the more I started to hate cutting hair. 6 years after my drug addiction started, I had basically lost everything at this point. My mental health, my friends, and my family was the only thing I really had left. They sat me down and told me in a very sincere, genuine way, Nas, we think you should cut hair. And we really mean this, and I know we've been telling you for ages, but there's something about you and that craft that we just see working out. And I looked at my mom and I told her, I'm like, Mom, do you reckon you'd be happy if I did this? Would you be upset if I went down the path of cutting hair? And my mom looked at me and she goes, Nas, like whatever you do, so long as you do it in the spirit of service, we'll be so proud of you. And so I took those words on. A few months later, you know, my drug addiction had gone really bad and I checked myself into a rehab center. And in rehab, I realized, man, I'm gonna actually start living life for myself. It seemed like this was my path, what I was meant to do. My brother was in Melbourne doing his master's at Melbourne Uni, and he just told me, Nas, I think you should come down, now it's time. Sure enough, I applied for a visa and I came down on a one-way ticket with a dream. Cutting hair became like a drug to me now, and I never gave up when I was a drug addict, so I wasn't gonna give this up. I came with such a passionate drive and a dream that I was gonna do so well, and every single barbershop and hairdressers I went to wouldn't accept me. And then finally a barbershop that saw me always looking outside was like, why don't you just come in and just watch me cut? I was like, wow, like that's amazing, thank you. And I just, you know, grabbed the mop, grabbed the broom, and I would just watch them do everything. And not only was I watching them cut hair, they'd be showing me how to cut hair on models one-on-one. And then I'd go home and watch videos on how to cut. Then I would get my housemates or any friends that I could have and train on them. So I was just doing that about 6 to 7 hours a day after working about a 10-hour shift at a cafe. And then I go to sleep and the cycle started. And after 2 years of just doing that constantly, not getting paid for anything, I finally got an opportunity to work at a barbershop. For me, I was getting regulars, but I was the worst barber at the shop. Being a great barber is more than just how you cut. On my way to work all the time outside of a train station, there would be this homeless guy. He'd just be sitting there, head always buried between his legs. It just seemed like every time I'd walk by him, he was just constantly sad, and he never really looked at me or paid attention. And I was always just wanting to do more and more and more for him, but there was nothing I felt like I could do until one day I looked at him and I said, brother, would you like a haircut? And that was the first time he looked into my eyes. And when he looked into my eyes, he looked into my soul. And he just said, brother, I would love that. I've been so depressed, I haven't looked at myself in the mirror in a long time. And I've let myself go. And when he said that, it really resonated with me because I remember the days when I used to go on my binges and come home and look at myself in the mirror and just break down, break down in tears and just hate everything about myself. And so when I got the clippers out and I gave this guy a haircut, he went from zero to hero. It was just phenomenal to see how different he was. For months and months on end, he wouldn't even look at me in the eyes. And then when I was taking a little bit of care and attention, it was as if I breathed life into the guy. After the haircut, he thanked me and says, brother, I really hope I can repay you one day. I want to sober up and change my ways. And hopefully when I check myself into a rehab center, I can come out and I can be a regular client of yours. Those powerful words, man. And that's when the piece of the puzzle that I felt was missing in my heart finally fit into place. Because what I just did was an act of service. And my mom told me whatever I did, so long as I did it in the spirit of service, they'll be proud. That's what I'm all about now, and it's just given me purpose. It's kept me about 7 years sober. When you give your life purpose, that is the purpose of life. People who are going to come into my chair at a shop, how can I be of service to them? The homeless men and women that I'm going to meet on the street, how can I be of service to them? We Not Me is the motto of the Streets Barber. You can think good from a good conversation. You can feel good by just feeling like you actually are worthy. And you can definitely damn look good if someone takes the time to, grooming you the way you want. Essentially, it's just trying to get a high without having to use anything. One of the clients, he spent almost 2 years in jail. And in jail, he started to meditate. And I was telling him how I did a meditation. And he's, telling me how he wanted to sober up. Finally, he had to hold that meditation. It's kind of just worked out great that not only channeling and supporting him as an individual to staying sober and to kind of follow the right path, I also want to try to create this space as a safe space for men and women, but I guess in order to help our women and children, we need to really help our men as well. So if we're able to kind of create a positive environment for guys to get along, that's not around just having a couple beers, I think it'll go a far way. The greatest prison is the prison of self, man. So if you're free from that prison of self, that is indeed freedom.